Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, Take 5 in Real Life. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman, Jeff Lee, and Pat Campbell.
Hello, and welcome back to the take5IRL podcast. I'm Jeff Lee, a partner at agilityIRL, and one of your hosts.
And I'm Mike Studeman, another partner at agilityIRL, and your co-host for this episode. Hope you're doing well, Jeff.
I am. We don't have Pat today, but we're going to do our best.
Yes, Pat had the audacity to take vacation, something that you and I will definitely have to look at in our corporate policies, as they say.
Absolutely.
So, Jeff, on my mind today is a question that we commonly get in both classes and in our coaching engagements. Scrum teams working with waterfall teams or traditional teams. Is that an oil and water thing? Are they never going to be able to work together? Or do you have any thoughts on how they can effectively work on building a product together?
Yeah, so I'm starting with the assumption that both of these teams are working in the way that makes most sense for their context. And it's, there's no one single answer for this. So, provided there's a reason for our Scrum teams to be using Scrum and there's a reason for our waterfall teams to be on a waterfall path. What I like to do, and I've been in these environments many times in different companies, from a project program management point of view, work on aligning dependencies, integrate early and often, and breaking down work as small as you can, right? So getting these teams to be working on the same things at the same time. They don't have to do it in the same way, but maybe a month from now, we're going to be integrating on something, right? It can be the happy path through the system. It can be something really easy, but let's not just assume that, these interfaces that we've decided are going to be there, that they work as laid up in a document, because that never works out. And so getting these to, actually integrate and talk to each other as often as possible in whatever environment you can make that happen is definitely what I push teams to do. What are your thoughts?
Well, before I jump into my thoughts, I think you kind of buried the lead there. And this is important for our audience to understand. Notice that Jeff, as a professional Scrum trainer, wasn't saying that everyone has to do Scrum, that there has to be the approach has to fit for the problem trying to be solved. I think that you kind of undersold the assumption there. So I wanted to highlight that. Beyond that, I think, a couple of thoughts. First of all, worry about outcomes, don't worry about process. I've seen it where the Scrum team almost adopts a religious zeal for converting the waterfall team to their approach. Don't dictate somebody's approach to them. If I've learned anything from being a parent of 3 sons, you can't force another human being to do something that they don't want to do. So don't try to convert them. Second, instead of focusing on the process, as you said, focus on the outcome. We have this integration coming up. Are you going to be ready to do this integration as soon as possible? We don't care how you get there. It could be Scrum. It could be waterfall. It could be a series of mini waterfalls. We don't care. Just be there when we need you to be there.
Right. And you don't have to be fully loaded at the intersection, right? You can see each other walking down the road. I'm not sure if these metaphors are working, but if
I'm getting it, I don't know if the audience will, but I'm getting it.
Yeah, run the happy path in a development environment, right? You don't have to have everything fully tested, but just let's get something flowing back and forth. The other thing I've seen as a pitfall in the past, many years ago, is the first Scrum team I worked with, I was on the waterfall side, and they were telling me they can't give estimates, they can't give any sort of dates because they were Agile. Well, now I've learned a lot about Agile in the between here and there, and they were wrong, right? We forecast in Agile. We know our forecasts aren't perfect, but we can forecast dates, and you need to, right? It's only respectful for the other teams.
Yeah, I think acknowledging, well, first of all, I think the idea that we're Agile, we can't provide dates is a cop-out. I think it's a fireable offense, to be honest. Not that we're in the business of firing people. But I think, being able to give ranges, acknowledging that, hey, we're going to have to move within these dates, but once again, being militant about saying we're Agile, we can't provide you dates, that's just a cop-out.
It's a misunderstanding of what Agile means as well.
So before we get too far afield on the Agile or Scrum team and interfacing with Waterfall, how do you sum up your advice for our audience?
Integrate early and often. Break down work into small chunks. work together. You don't have to dictate how the other side works, but be exchanging information like actually in the application, right? Don't wait till the end to do your integration. That's most important for you. How about you? What's your sum up, Mike?
Yeah, I would say focus on the outcomes. Don't focus on the process, and don't try to convert anyone. It's impossible to have another human being do something that they don't want to do.
All right. And with that, we won't make you listen to another minute of this podcast. So thanks for joining us here. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the take5IRL podcast. If you like it, please go ahead and share it with someone, as well as like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, leave us a comment or a suggestion for a future episode. Again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next time on the Take5IRL podcast.